The Bentley's engine purred low as the city came alive in gold and smoke. Zayed adjusted the mirror, catching a glimpse of his own tired eyes. He did not look like the man on the magazine covers anymore. Gone was the crisp suit, the diamond cufflinks, the heirloom watch. Now, just a gray driver's uniform, leather gloves, and a fake beard. He had never driven his own car before today. But this was not about driving. It was about watching, about listening, about knowing. The woman he married had changed. Yasmin no longer looked at him the way she used to. Her smile had turned polite, not warm. Her touch had cooled, her words more careful. He felt her slipping through his fingers like desert sand. And the whispers had started weeks ago. Rumors from the staff, half-voiced suspicions from old friends. She is seeing someone, one had dared to say. Zayed had laughed it off, then locked himself in his study. For hours, he watched security footage, read phone logs, traced messages. Nothing certain, just shadows. But shadows were enough for a man like him. So he hired someone to take his place for a week. He became the driver, Khalid, newly hired, silent, invisible. And Yasmin did not recognize him. That first morning, she stepped into the car with perfume like crushed jasmine. She was on her phone, speaking in a language that was not hers. French, soft and quick, her voice light, almost girlish. Zayed drove without speaking, heart thudding with each word she said. He caught only fragments. Tonight, rooftop, same time. She laughed once, a strange, sparkling sound he had not heard in months. They stopped at the spa, and she disappeared inside without a glance back. He sat in the driver's seat, gripping the wheel until his knuckles turned white. It was not until sunset that he saw it. The receipt from a hotel tucked into the glove compartment. He had not placed it there. It was dated 3 days ago. 2 glasses of champagne, room 1602. He folded it and slipped it into his coat. That night, he stood on the marble balcony of their penthouse, watching the city below. The call to prayer echoed between towers, soft and solemn. And inside, Yasmin hummed to herself as she unpacked her shopping bags. He watched her hands move like dancers, graceful and sure, and wondered whose hands she had held that week. The next morning, she asked him to drive her to the marina. "Be on time," she said without meeting his eyes. "Yes, madam," he replied in a voice deeper than his own. She wore sunglasses too large for her face and a scarf over her hair. At the cafe, she met a woman blonde and elegant, with a hard smile. Zayed watched in the car, snapping a photo with a hidden lens. The women laughed, leaned close, whispered like co-conspirators. Yasmin touched the woman's hand. The woman flinched. And Zayed knew then it was not a friendship. It was blackmail. Back at the house, he went to the old storage room behind the garage. He dusted off a locked drawer, took out a hidden folder. Inside were records of every employee they had ever hired. One name matched the blonde woman. Carla Dumont, former nanny, dismissed quietly 7 years ago. Reason: inappropriate behavior not disclosed. Yasmin had begged him to fire her without scandal. He had agreed, never asking more. Now she was back, and Yasmin was paying her, or being paid. That night, Zayed could not sleep. He lay beside Yasmin, who breathed slow and deep. He watched her lashes flutter as she dreamed, and wondered if she dreamed of him, or someone else. By the 4th day, the game had changed. Yasmin told him to wait by the lobby, not drive her. She left in a white cab, her steps fast and nervous. Zayed followed on foot, weaving through the crowds of the gold souk. The smell of oud and cinnamon hung thick in the air. Merchants shouted, bells rang, children laughed. She turned sharply into a narrow alley between fabric stalls. He paused at the corner, just long enough to see her disappear into a red door. He waited 15 minutes before approaching. The door led to a stairwell with cracked tiles and peeling paint. Each step creaked under his weight. At the top, he heard voices. Low, urgent, angry. Then a crash. He stepped closer, ear to the door. You promised me, Yasmin. A man growled. I gave you everything. I did not ask you to. She snapped back. Zayed's breath caught. That was not the voice of a woman in love. It was the voice of someone cornered. He pushed the door open. Inside, a man stood with his back to Zayed, fists clenched. Yasmin stood near the window, eyes wide. Her face turned pale when she saw him. Who are you? The man shouted. Zayed pulled off the beard slowly. Yasmin gasped. The man stepped back, face draining of color. He looked younger than Zayed had expected. Late 20s, maybe, and he was afraid, very afraid. Zayed looked at Yasmin. She did not cry. She did not beg. She just stared. The silence stretched. Then the man ran past him, down the stairs, footsteps echoing like drums. Zayed let him go. He turned to Yasmin. Tell me everything, he said. She did not speak. Instead, she opened a drawer of a chip desk and pulled out a folder. She handed it to him with shaking hands. Inside were photos, not of the man, but of Zayed, at meetings, at banks, with people he did not remember. And every photo was marked, circled, numbered, timed, like surveillance, like a target. Zayed felt the air go thin around him. His chest tightened, stomach flipped. The room smelled of mold and smoke and something metallic. His hands trembled as he turned the last page. It was a blueprint of their home. Every entry point labeled. Every camera angle noted. Yasmin's voice broke the silence. They were going to kill you. And then she started to cry. Part 2 continues. Zayed stood frozen, the folder still in his hands. Yasmin wept, silent tears streaking her flawless makeup. Outside, the city buzzed, oblivious to what cracked open upstairs. The ceiling fan above them squeaked with every slow rotation. Dust clung to the air, thick and dry like ancient paper. Zayed felt betrayed, but also hunted. I do not understand, he said, voice low and hoarse. Yasmin wiped her cheeks, fingers trembling. They said you were laundering money through offshore accounts. They said you had killed a man in Cairo. Zayed blinked, then laughed. It was a cold, humorless sound that did not feel like his. Hey, he asked, stepping closer. She backed up against the wall. The man downstairs, she whispered. His name is Rafiq. Zayed clenched his jaw, forcing himself to stay calm. He is police? Yasmin shook her head, eyes wide with fear. Worse. Zayed looked again at the blueprint. Marked in red ink were weak spots in their security, and handwritten notes beside the cameras. Asterisk, disable before 2 a.m. Use staff entrance. Asterisk, this was not blackmail. This was an assassination plan. When were they going to do it? He asked. Yasmin pressed her lips together. Tomorrow night. A fly buzzed near the window, circling lazily, unaware of the storm. Zayed looked out. Across the rooftops, the skyline shimmered beneath the midday heat. I need names, he said. Yasmin hesitated. He stepped closer, his voice turning to steel. All of them. She nodded slowly, then reached into her purse, pulled out a flash drive, wrapped in tissue. They gave me this, she said. Everything is on it. He took it without a word, sliding it into his coat pocket, then turned to the door. Where are you going? She asked. To meet my lawyer, he lied. He was going somewhere else. He had questions that needed answers now, and only one man could give them. 2 hours later, Zayed stepped into the back of a dim bar in Dara. The air smelled of sweat, cheap cologne, and old secrets. Men played cards near the corner, their laughter sharp and mean. He found Kareem behind the bar, polishing a chipped glass. Kareem used to handle Zayed's Messier deals, the kind done in silence, with no paper trail. "Kareem," Zayed said quietly. The man turned, startled, then grinned, showing gold teeth. "Well, if it is not the king without a crown." Zayed ignored the joke. "I need to know who is trying to kill me." Kareem's grin faded. He motioned to a back room. They walked past a beaded curtain into a dark office with stained walls. Zayed plugged in the flash drive. Kareem leaned over, squinting at the files. Encrypted folders, coded names, offshore statements. Then one folder opened. Photos, emails, maps, lists. One list stood out. It was titled Targets. Zayed's name was first. Kareem scrolled down slowly. 6 names in total. 3 were already crossed out. One name chilled Zayed's blood. Sami al-Sahiri, his cousin, murdered in a car accident 2 months ago. No one had suspected foul play. Now it made sense. Zayed stepped back, heart pounding. "This is a hit list." Kareem nodded grimly. "And it looks like someone inside your circle sold you out." Zayed thought of his business partners, his bodyguards, even his driver. Anyone could have done it. He stared at the screen, then noticed something. An email thread between Carla Dumont and an unknown sender. They mentioned a place. Jebel Ali, Warehouse 9. Midnight, asterisk, asterisk. It was tonight. Zayed straightened. "I need to be there," he said. Kareem frowned. It could be a trap. Zayed's eyes narrowed. "I know." The wind howled through the port later that night, carrying sand and salt. Zayed crouched behind crate, dressed in black, ears straining. Warehouse 9 loomed ahead. Lights off, doors cracked open. The scent of oil and rust clung to the air. Inside, faint voices echoed, masked by machinery. He slipped in through the side, quiet as breath. Would creak beneath his feet. Ahead, behind stacked boxes, shadows moved. A man was speaking in Arabic. "Payment clears when he is gone. No body, no trail." Zayed's stomach turned. He pulled out his phone, began recording. Another voice answered. "We will use the poison. Quick. No noise. Poison. Not even a bullet. No dignity in death." He took another step forward, then froze. A third voice joined conversation, and it belonged to someone Zayed knew well. Basim, his head of security, the man who trained his guards, set his alarms, protected his home. Zayed's chest felt hollow. Basim had access to everything. He stepped back, breath shallow, heart racing. A crate shifted behind him, a loud scrape in the silence. All 3 voices stopped. Then a shout. "He is here!" Zayed ran. Boots thundered behind him. He darted through the narrow aisles, dodging crates and spilled tools. A bullet whizzed past his ear, smashing into a beam. He reached the back door, kicked it open. The cool night hit his face like a slap. He sprinted through the yard, ducking low, heart thudding like a drum. Behind him, more shouts, then silence. No one followed. They knew chasing him now would expose everything. He reached his car, flung the door open, peeled out onto the highway. Lights blurred past as he drove, hands shaking. Basim, of all people, back at the penthouse. He locked the doors and checked every camera, then opened the safe. Took out a gun he had not touched in years, and sat at the edge of the bed. Yasmin emerged from the bathroom, eyes red. "They know," he said. She nodded once. Zayed handed her the gun. "In case I do not come back." She hesitated, then took it. "Where are you going?" Zayed looked out the window. The city no longer looked like home. He picked up the flash drive to find the last person on that list. Then he was gone. Part 3 continues. The desert wind howled across the highway as Zayed sped toward the mountains. His mind raced faster than the engine beneath him. The flash drive sat beside him like a ticking bomb. Basim's betrayal still stung like a knife in the back. But there was one name left on that list, a name no one dared say aloud. Laith, the ghost in every whispered deal, the man behind the curtain, untouchable. Until now, Zayed turned off the main road, tires crunching over loose gravel. The air smelled of petrol, dust, and something old. Ahead, hidden between rocky cliffs, stood a private estate. White walls, steel gates, and cameras that blinked like eyes. He knew the place. It had once belonged to a rival who vanished overnight. Zayed parked behind a dune, shut off the lights, and stepped into the dark. The sand shifted beneath his boots, dry and soft like powdered bone. He moved like a shadow toward the side fence, climbed it in silence, heart thumping against his ribs. No alarms, no dogs, too quiet. He slipped inside through a cracked service door. The hallway was cold and smelled of bleach and varnished wood. Lights flickered above, buzzing with an uneven hum. He heard voices ahead. Low, controlled. 2 men passed by, armed, speaking Russian. Zayed ducked behind a cabinet, holding his breath. When the footsteps faded, he moved again. He found a staircase and climbed to the top floor. There, behind an ornate door, was a private study. Books lined the walls in neat, untouched rows. A globe spun slowly under a ceiling fan. Zayed walked to the desk, opened drawers one by one. Papers, passports, a loaded pistol. Then, a folder labeled Phoenix Protocol. He opened it with trembling fingers. Inside were photos. His photos. Him at the marina. Him outside the villa. Him disguised as a driver. They knew all along. Every move. Every word. His throat tightened. Then came the real shock. A document with his signature. His own name authorizing a transfer of $10 million to an account in Cyprus. He had never signed it. His heart dropped into his stomach. They were not just going to kill him. They were going to make it look like suicide, a financial scandal, an exposed affair, followed by a tragic ending. His reputation would burn with him. He stepped back, dizzy, and behind him, the door creaked. Zayed turned fast, gun drawn. Laith stood there, smiling, his suit crisp, his shoes spotless. Impressive, he said calmly. Zayed's hand did not shake. Why? He asked. Laith tilted his head. Because kings forget they can bleed. Zayed stepped forward, finger tightening on the trigger. Laith raised a hand. Shoot me and your wife dies. Zayed froze. What? Laith pulled out a phone. Press play. A video filled the screen. Yasmin tied to a chair. Basim standing behind her, knife in hand. Zayed's breath caught. Release her, he said, or I will burn everything you own. Laith chuckled. That temper is why you are here. Zayed lunged. They struggled, the gun clattering to the floor. Laith punched hard, breaking Zayed's lip. But Zayed fought like a man with nothing left to lose. He grabbed a letter opener and slashed Laith's arm. Blood sprayed across the desk. Laith howled in pain, stumbled backward. Zayed grabbed the phone and ran. He bolted down the stairs, gunshots ringing behind him. Wood splintered, glass shattered. He crashed through a side door into the open night. The cool air hit his face like ice water. Tires screeched ahead. A black SUV barreled toward him. He dove to the ground as it passed, bullets ripping the sand beside him. He rolled, fired twice. The SUV spun, crashed into a rock, smoke pouring from the hood. Zayed sprinted for his car, engine roaring to life as he escaped. His mouth tasted blood and metal. His hands shook against the wheel. But Yasmin was still alive, and now he had proof. He reached the city just before dawn. Streets empty, shadows long, buildings wash in gray light. He pulled into the back entrance of an old tech repair shop. Inside, Kareem waited. Zayed handed him the phone. Find where this video was sent from. Kareem nodded and got to work. Zayed paced, every second stretching like wire. Finally, there, Kareem said, pointing at a map. An abandoned hotel on the edge of the palm. Zayed loaded his gun. No more hiding. No more running. This ends tonight. He arrived just before sunset, the sky burning gold behind the tower. The hotel was half crumbled, vines crawling up broken walls. The front lobby smelled of mildew, salt, and urine. He moved carefully, every footstep deliberate. The halls echoed with the distant sound of water dripping. He checked each door floor by floor. Then he heard it, a voice, faint, pleading. He followed the sound to a locked room on the third floor. He kicked it open. Yasmin looked up, eyes swollen, rope cutting into her wrists. She whispered his name. Zayed rushed forward, untied her quickly. She clung to him, shaking. They said you were dead. He held her tight, eyes scanning the room. Then, footsteps outside. Many. Zayed shoved Yasmin behind a sofa. The door burst open. Basim stepped in, followed by two men with rifles. He did not see Zayed at first, but Zayed saw him, and fired first. Basim dropped instantly. Chaos erupted. Bullets tore through the walls. Zayed dragged Yasmin across the floor, glass slicing his arm. He fired again, hitting one guard in the shoulder. The last man fled. Silence returned. Smoke filled the air, bitter and thick. Zayed stood over Basim's body, chest heaving. It was over, or so he thought, because then Yasmin said something. Something he would never forget. He was not working for Laith. Zayed turned confused. What? She looked pale, distant, haunted. He was working for someone else. Someone worse. Part 4 continues. The room went still as her words hung in the air. Zayed blinked, trying to understand. Someone worse than Laith. His skin prickled with dread. Yasmin's voice was faint, broken. He said she paid more than anyone else. Zayed stared at her. She? Yasmin nodded slowly, tears streaking her cheek. My sister. Silence slammed into the room like a brick. Zayed staggered back. His breath caught in his chest. Aisha, Yasmin's only sister. Quiet, graceful, always in the background. She had even helped plan their wedding. He remembered her smile now, but it no longer looked kind. Zayed helped Yasmin to her feet. His mind flooded with images. Aisha at family dinners. Aisha sending gifts to their home. Aisha holding Yasmin's hand the day of his father's funeral. Every moment now twisted. Yasmin leaned against him, weak but determined. She hated me for marrying you. Zayed stared at her. Why? She said you belonged to her. The walls seemed to close in. Zayed could barely breathe. He walked them outside into the fading light. The street smelled of motor oil and burned metal. Sirens echoed faintly in the distance. He guided Yasmin into the car, hands trembling. As he started the engine, a chill passed through him. He remembered the anonymous letters, the strange calls that never spoke. The day their security system failed for no reason. He had dismissed them all as random. Now they felt like warning signs. The drive back to the city felt endless. Zayed checked the mirrors every few seconds. Yasmin leaned her head against the window, silent. When they arrived, Kareem was waiting outside, his face pale. There's something you need to see, he said. Inside the shop, the lights flickered overhead. The air was heavy with solder smoke and burnt wires. Kareem handed Zayed a laptop. I traced another signal from the hotel. Zayed leaned in. A video played. Security footage. The rooftop of the hotel, just an hour before they arrived. A woman in a long black coat stood beside Basim, face hidden by a scarf. But the way she moved, The way she tilted her head. It was Aisha. Zayed paused the video. A sharp pain hit behind his eyes. She had been watching the whole time, orchestrating every move. Yasmin watched too, lips parted in shock. She was there. Zayed stood slowly, rage boiling in his gut. She planned the kidnapping. Kareem hesitated. There is more. He clicked another file. Bank transfers. Surveillance images. A web of shell companies. Every thread led back to one central account. And the owner was not Aisha. It was Yasmin. Zayed's legs nearly gave out. He looked at her. She looked back, lips quivering. I can explain. His voice cracked. You lied. I had no choice, she said. Tears fell from her eyes. She blackmailed me. Zayed took a step back. The accounts were in your name. I never touched that money. She forced me to sign. Every time you left town, she came. I tried to leave, Zayed, but she said she would kill you. His heart felt like it was collapsing. Everything blurred. His wife, his enemy, his betrayer, or victim. He could not tell anymore. He walked outside, gasping for air. The night was cold, too quiet. Every shadow looked like a threat. His phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Stop looking, or next time she dies for real. No name, no location, just a warning. He turned back to the shop, but it was empty. Yasmin was gone. The door swung slowly in the wind. Zayed ran into the street. No sign of her. No sound. Just the distant hum of the city. She had vanished. Again. The next morning, he stood in front of the mosque. Sunlight bathed the white stone in gold. He had no answers, only questions, and a hollow ache in his chest. The imam approached quietly. You look like a man carrying too many shadows. Zayed nodded, barely able to speak. I lost her. The imam said nothing, just handed him a small folded paper. She left us here an hour ago. Zayed opened it slowly. Only 4 words written in delicate handwriting. She is watching us. He stared at the note until his vision blurred. In the distance, a black car slowed at the corner. A woman inside, face hidden behind tinted glass. Then it sped off. Zayed's jaw tightened. This was not over. He would find Yasmin. He would find Aisha. He would uncover every secret. Burn every lie. Expose every mask. Even if it meant losing everything. Even if it meant becoming someone else again. Because now, it was not about love or revenge. It was about the truth, and someone was going to pay for it.